Storm Hunter is brought to you by Nikon is about to begin, but let's get into some of our top stories that we're looking at right now. We are tracking a system that is making its way through southwestern Ontario in London right now. It will hit the GTA by 9 o'clock this evening. And then tomorrow is going to be the coldest day of the weekend. Moving into the prairies, well, this Arctic air is actually cooling things down. It's very, very cold. With that is flurries. So again, hopefully you have your winter tires on right now. In the Atlantic, it's going to be raining this weekend in St. John's. We'll get back to the conclusion of Storm Hunters brought to you by Nikon in just a little bit. Let's take a couple of minutes to get into our weather. In the Atlantic, there is a system, heavy rain at times through Sydney and Halifax Sunday, and then Newfoundland by Sunday all day. So hopefully you have that umbrella. Moving into Ontario, there is a system that's making its way through rain in the south, but Orangeville, Barrie, you might see some snow. The higher elevations you get, we'll see some of that accumulation. So BC, you are dry, but completely different story in the prairies. You are very, very cold. Well, thank you so much, though, for sending that in. We love to see your videos and photos. So go to @Sonia Sache or @Weather Network. Let's get into the Atlantic. So yes, we have a system that is making its way through. There is a high right now keeping you nice and warm, but take a look. It's creeping up, and it's going to literally bring its way through Sydney and Nova Scotia by Sunday morning into the afternoon. So bring your umbrella, pack your patience. What does that look like in terms of accumulation of rain? Well, Sydney, you could see up to 20 millimeters of rain. And again, Nova Scotia, you could see up to 25 millimeters of rain. Let's take a look at Quebec right now for the last couple of days, but let's take a look at the system right now. So yes, we are tracking when it is in southern Ontario, London, and it will make its way through into the GTA. It does move into Ottawa as well by Sunday evening. It is a fast moving system, so by Sunday evening, dry. However, let's take a look at what this means in terms of snowfall accumulation. Yes, snow, especially for the northern parts, so cottage country. Sudbury, you could see up to 5 centimeters, and even Orangeville, higher elevated areas, could see some snow. So hopefully you have your snow tires on. But to the south, it's going to be mainly precipitation in terms of rainfall. So up to 5 to 10 millimeters of rain going into Niagara. Toronto, we could see up to 5. So again, significant. I do want to show you the 7-day because yes, this is where the low really impacts us again on Monday. But then by Wednesday, Thursday, take a look at Thursday, there is another system that is really making things very, very cold for you in this area. So hopefully you have your snow tires on, drive safely, because we could see some snow through Thursday. But let's take a look at the prairies right now. So Alberta, scattered to light flurries widespread across the prairies through the weekend. We could see some accumulation up to 5 millimeters of snow. Take a look at that. Goodness gracious. So that's where we're going to see that. And there is going to be some rain snow mix as well. So in terms of accumulation, well, we could see, you know, up to 15 centimeters in some areas. But let's take a look at this over the next little while. It's going to be, again, nation and nation, it's going to be completely different. BC is going to be dry and Atlantic is going to be very wet. But your locals are right now. Yes, you've seen some very cold temperatures. Hi there, I am Sonia Sache. Let's get into our top stories. Let's focus on BC. So let's take a look right now. See this ridge? So it is really impacting this entire region, and it is really saving you from any precipitation. Absolutely, but it's a completely different story in Alberta and the prairies. We're going to talk about that in just a little bit. But for BC, as I mentioned, it is going to be very dry over the next couple of days. There will be some showers the further north that you go, but nothing too significant. Just maybe up to 30 millimeters of rain is possible. But again, otherwise, Vancouver, Lower Mainland, you are going to be dry. Completely different story as we take a look at the prairies. There is a system that's making its way through, really cooling things down. Ontario, my goodness, again, that's happening over the next couple of days in over the weekend. So it's going to be dry on Sunday. It's going to be the coldest we've seen on Sunday. But let's get back to the prairies. Snowfall Again, up to 15 centimeters of snow can be seen in the foothills and then in Calgary, Alberta. Edmonton, you might see maybe a sprinkle or two over the weekend. This is not including, though, another system that is going to impact you going into Sunday in the evening. But a boat wreck in the Niagara River that has been sitting there for over 100 years moved over the Halloween weekend. Here's Matt with more on that. Realize how impactful wind can be, but it definitely is. Hi there, I am Sonia Sache. Let's get into our top stories. Let's start with Ontario. There is a system that we are tracking that is making its way east, and it will impact us over the weekend. Tomorrow, Sunday, is going to be the coldest day of the weekend, so really bundle up. We might see some showers, we might see some snow. The north part will see the snow, but here's where we're going to see the millimeters of rain. Niagara Falls and Toronto, just under 5 millimeters of rain, but the further north we go, or even Orangeville, Barrie, we're going to see some of that snow accumulation, and this is what it's going to look like. Up to 5 centimeters could be seen, but the further north that we go, the more snow accumulation that we will see over the weekend. So again, drive safely. But I do want to show you this 7-day because we have another system that impacts the GTA that is on Thursday. And it's going to bring with it, again, some mix of rain and snow. So hopefully you have your winter tires on. But Matt talks about the wettest month in Montreal. Here's a look at that. It is time to fall back, but here are some things to remember. Here's Kim McDonald. Can you imagine that crack? But thankfully that didn't happen. Hi there, I am Sonia Sache. Let's get into our top stories. BC, so we have seen this high pressure system that has really kept BC, the lower mainland of Vancouver, very, very dry, unseasonably so. However, in saying that, the moisture will find its way and is finding its way into the prairies. It has nowhere else to go but there. So again, BC, you are going to be very, very dry, especially in the lower mainland area. Maybe some precipitation the further north we go. Prince George, you might see up to 20 millimeters of rain this weekend, but for the most part, it's going to be very, very dry. Take a look at that. This is, again, is where the moisture seeps in, and the foothills, Alberta, you could be seeing a lot of snow, up to 15 centimeters this weekend. This is not including Monday, so you're going to see more of that snowfall going into Monday. And so those totals will be a lot higher. There is a system that we are looking at in southern Ontario making its way through. So tomorrow is going to be one of the coldest days of the weekend. So bundle up. But then after that, it's going to be quite nice. But then the temperatures will drop again. But let's take a look at the snowfall accumulation. Yes, we are going to see that, especially around the lake. We're going to see some of those totals. Even Barrie and Orangeville will see that as well. But mostly rain. But a boat wreck in Niagara River that has been there for over 100 years has moved. Here's Matt on that. Definitely contain this fire. We have a story that you won't want to miss coming up in literally 1 minute. But let's get into our top stories. In Ontario, there is a system that is making its way through to the north. We're going to see some snow accumulation and take a look at that. So some areas could see up to 3 centimeters, but even Orangeville, you could see just under 5 centimeters of snow. So hopefully you have your winter tires on. But otherwise, you know, just some rain. London, you could see up to 10 millimeters of rain. Toronto, just under 5 millimeters. But I do want to show you Thursday. So things are relatively warm until Thursday, and then a modified air comes through and really cools things down, and we can see some snow. Atlantic, it's going to be soggy by Sunday. But let's get back to the fire crews in California. Here's a look at how people are really appreciating all that they do for us. A large manatee was found stuck in sand in Savannah, Georgia. Take a look at that poor thing. It seems that its species are swimming in territories it once never did. And the reason is because of the climate change impacting the sea temperatures, really warming that up. So again, it's putting the manatee and its species at risk. For more on this story, visit theweathernetwork.com. And just move over these these borders and what have you. I am Sonia Sache. Thank you so much for tuning in. Let's get into our top stories. Well, BC, there is a high that is really keeping you nice and dry. You've seen that over the last week, and that will continue. So all of the lower mainland, Vancouver, you're going to be dry, but as we get into the northern parts, that's where we're going to see some precipitation. Now, because that high is contained and containing that dry weather, that moisture needs to go somewhere. And so it is actually dipping down into the prairie, so it will impact the foothills and of course Alberta. So you could see up to 15 centimeters of snow in certain areas. But let's take a look at your next 7 days in BC. The moisture does come back on Thursday, so that high does dissipate by that time. But until Wednesday, you are going to be dry. Completely different story here in Calgary. Let's take a look at that. So yes, there's scattered showers off and on Calgary, rain-snow mix, but definitely you're going to see, especially in the foothills, as we saw previously, some snow, and even in Saskatoon by Sunday going into Sunday evening. So hopefully you have your snow tires on. In terms of accumulation, well, Regina, you could see up to 5 centimeters of snow, and in certain areas you could see up to 3 centimeters of snow. So not so significant, but definitely you want to be mindful as you are driving because it will impact your visibility. But the effects of time change, yes, we are falling back, things that we don't really realize. Here's Rachel with more on that.